During a cattle raid conducted by Temujin's subordinates, one of Jamaka's kinsmen was killed, and Jamaka used this as a justification to start a war. The two small armies gathered for the fight. Temujin's army was routed by Jamaka's force, and in one of the deciding moments in the long conflict between the two men, Jamaka cut off the head of one of Temujin's generals and tied it to the tail end of a horse. This act horrified many Mongols, and word of this event spread throughout the steppe, stirring up support for Temujin and fear of Jamaka. Now 33, Temujin had received word that the Jurchid from the south of the Gobi that separated Mongolia and China had sent word to the Kariid and Ongkong to attack the Tartars on the basis that they had grown too strong. Upon word of this alliance, Temujin sent word to the Jurchen, a tribe located near to Temujin's camp. The Jurchen accepted the offer and agreed to raid the Tartars with Temujin and Ongkong. However, in a feast that was held shortly before the raid on the Tartars, Belgatui, Temujin's half-brother, was assigned the duty to watch over the horses of Temujin's small band, when a man from the Jurchen, known as Buri the Wrestler, tried to steal one. In response, Belgatui challenged the man to a wrestling match. Buri responded by unsheathing his sword and slicing at Belgatui's shoulder, to show that he was too beneath him to be fit to challenge him in such a way. When Temujin gathered his forces, however, the Jurchen did not show, and after waiting for days to no avail, the Mongols left without them. This act infuriated Temujin and wouldn't be forgotten. The raid was conducted in the same way that all steppe raids were, but on a larger scale, and the result was easy success. The loot from the Tartars was on a scale unseen before by the Mongols. Because the Tartars were geographically located closer to China, and by extension the Silk Road, goods from all over the world flowed into the Tartars' camps. When the Mongols entered, they were stunned at the wealth and beauty of the gold and silver that they found throughout. Even the children wore elaborate fabrics and were decorated in golden accessories. When the Mongols returned home, the wealth that they returned with attracted even more followers to Temujin's cause. His power slowly expanded out to acquire more and more smaller tribes under his domain. One of such tribes were the Jurchen, whom Temujin still had lingering animosity towards. During the raid, the Jurchen had conducted a raid on his camp, killing some of his followers and stealing from the rest that survived. Temujin then raided and conquered the Jurchen with ease, and instituted his new ideas on the tribe. Typically, within Mongolian raids, the loser was looted and occasionally had some of its members taken as prisoners. Temujin had a new idea in mind for the Jurchen. He summoned another Kurultai among his followers and conducted a public trial of the Jurchen aristocratic leaders for the lack of assistance in raiding the Tartars after agreeing to accompany him. The leaders were found guilty and executed. This served as a powerful message to anyone else that Temujin would reward those loyal to him and punish those who wronged him. In another of Temujin's new ideas, he occupied the lands of the Jurchen and gave the remaining members of the Jurchen spots within Mongolian families in order to unify the clans within each other and to strengthen them both. The Jurchen were not slaves, but rather newly formed Mongols. To solidify his message as the new ruler of the Jurchen, he held a feast to signify the unification of the victorious Mongols and the newly adopted Jurchen. In this feast, Buri the Wrestler was summoned for a rematch with Belgatui. This was to be seen as a way of amending all of the previous qualms that the two clans had in the past. Buri was known as an undefeatable wrestler. With a perfect record, everyone would have expected him to come out the victor. However, fearful of Temujin's potential wrath, he gave way to Belgatui and let him throw him. This was a mistake. Belgatui wrapped his arms around Buri's shoulders and mounted him from behind. Come back next week for the unification of Mongolia and the entrance of Genghis Khan. Support the channel on Patreon and subscribe for weekly animated history videos.